You guys are all going to college? Is that right?
Yeah.
For the most part? Okay. Anybody accepted yet to colleges? Okay. Are you guys excited or are you going because your parents are making you go?
Excited.
You're excited?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the first thing I kind of want to touch on. There's about half of you guys in high school right now who are excited and want to go to college, and half of you who are going because your parents are making you and you're going, well, I just spent 4 years learning stuff I didn't need to learn. Why would I sign up for learning more that I don't need to learn? I had that mentality, and I only went to college to play water polo. That's the only reason I wanted to go, and I'm so glad I made that decision, because all those things you don't want to learn, you're not going to use it. I swear, you are not going to use that stuff. However, it's teaching you how to kind of start thinking for yourself. It's teaching you how to get through things that you hate doing. It's teaching you how to stay patient, and it is literally changing physically your brain. Okay, so sitting through, what's the worst, with the cool shirt right here, and the cool hair, yeah. What's the worst class you've ever taken in high school?
Oh, anything related to math.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's why I chose psychology. You only have to do stats. Every time you make it through a math class that you don't like, and you don't fail, and you don't totally give up, the wild thing is you literally physically made a new pathway in your brain. You don't know how that's going to be used. You don't know how that's going to help you later on. It might be that you are able to sit through something you didn't want to sit through, to get a certification, or in my case, a master's degree that's really hard to get. Okay, so sometimes you only go through the stuff you don't want to do because you're changing the way you're able to handle life. Does that make sense? What's something you're waiting for in college?
I don't know. That's gonna be hard.
It's going to be hard?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. You guys know it's going to be hard. You know it's going to be a lot of work. You know there's going to be women to talk to. And the most important thing is you get to shed and let go of whatever you're known for in high school, right? Anybody want to let go of somebody, want everybody to forget something that you did or said, or, right? I see some, you guys don't have to raise your hands, but I just saw a bunch of smiles, so I know that's you. The coolest thing about college is you get to be somebody different, okay? That's why you don't go to college with everybody from your high school. Pick somewhere else. But you get to pick a new group. You get to let go of the cliques. Now, there's some people who that's a real problem for, right? The most popular kids in school, right? The guys who are really popular, really athletic, and got all the girls, or made all the friends. Those guys try to do what with their high school experience?
Carry it on.
They try to carry it on and take it to college. Okay, and that does not work. So if that's you, don't do that. Be open to other people that you wouldn't have hung out with in high school. So here's some differences in college I want you guys to think about. First is you guys are going to have some freedoms that you've never had before. Okay? Who's going away, like you're not living at home? Okay. It's going to be awesome. You get to make your own decisions. You get to go to bed when you want. You get to do some things that your parents would absolutely not let you do. But it's also going to be a great burden. Okay? Because those decisions that you make are never going to seem like a big deal. Right? Has anybody ever made like little small decisions, and then later you look back and you go, oh my gosh, if I just hadn't made these string of small decisions, I wouldn't be in the terrible situation I'm in? Okay. If you take anything away from today, I want you to remember that that freedom is a blessing and a curse, and it is all the small decisions. You most likely, nobody finds themselves in depression or anxiety or in a total rut where they're getting kicked out of school or some other horrible situation because they made some grand, huge mistake decision. They make a lot of little decisions along the way. The other is, so your responsibility. You guys are responsible for your clothes usually, unless you're one of those people that comes home on the weekends and has your parents do it. You're responsible for taking care of yourself. Some of you has to be responsible. You're going to be responsible financially, because for some of you, your parents aren't going to take care of everything. You got to get a little job, or you have some sort of fund that you've got to manage. So some of those responsibilities feel really good. Ask for help with the responsibilities. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You guys follow that? Ask for help and listen to the help. Okay? Don't ask your parents, because you know you're not going to listen to your parents. Ask an adult that you actually you know that you'll listen to them. Like them talking to you is gonna actually mean something. You follow that? Okay, do you have something like that in your life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple.
Go to that person. Say, Mom and Dad, I love you, but I'm not gonna listen to you anyway, so let's not have this conversation. Okay? You want me to know something, tell this person in my life because I listen to them. And a lot of college, if you want a successful, happy, good college experience, a lot of it is just being honest with yourself about your own natural tendencies. Being honest with yourself about who you'll listen to and who you won't listen to, not reinventing wheels, and not having these insane conversations, okay? And if you have a hard time with your folks, you can give me a call, okay? You guys all have access to my number after this. But sometimes you gotta have hard conversations with your parents about the responsibilities you're taking on and get them to realize that you're gonna fail sometimes. That's the other important thing. Every one of you is about to fail at least a few things. So one of the things that makes it less likely that you fall into depression or you struggle with an anxiety disorder is if you go into situations knowing you might fail miserably, okay? This is gonna sound wild. The most successful people in life, the most successful people in college are actually those who are really good at failing. Have you had anybody tell you that? I have 3 failed businesses and now a business that is just taken off and going nuts. Okay? I'm the guy who didn't do well in school and I really had to figure out, I failed a history of rock class my freshman year of college. Can you imagine doing that? I failed a history of rock class my freshman year at college. And because of that failure, I was so embarrassed about that failure. My friends on my water polo team gave me so much grief about it that I figured out how to never be embarrassed like that again. That failure led to me getting really good grades in college. And I had never gotten good grades in my life. Okay? Your failures taken in strides, and if you can learn to fail with grace, you're going to be better off than those who never fail. The most important, I think, characteristic for those who are successful in college is, can I adapt? You're going to come in that first year of college, you're gonna be scared, and things are going to seem like you're going to kind of find your way and your groove, and you're going to seem like you're going in this direction, and most of you, not all of you, but most of you are going to take a complete right turn. Expect that. Check your expectations in college, okay? A couple of you, what are your expectations for college?
Well, make good new friends.
Make good new friends, okay. Anybody else have that expectation and hope? Most of you, right? Expect to make good new friends, but know that there might be a season for all of your friends that you make. Okay? I still have some friends that I've known since high school. I still have some friends in my life that are from college that are like family. But one of the most disheartening things that I had to go through was making what I thought was really good friends. And then I don't know why, but something changed. Either I felt left out or we got into it about something. There's a million reasons. And so the good new friends that you have, invest in them, depend on them, but know that there might be a season for your friendship. Has anybody ever heard that, seasons of friendship? Okay. Sometimes you got a good friend, you kind of have a falling out, and then if you're open and healthy later on in life, they might come back into your life. So know that if you lose those good friends, right? Freshman year, you guys love each other. Sophomore year, you hate each other. Know that they might come back into your life so that you don't go nuts trying to fix everything.
I don't know, like one expectation I have going in is just freedom of like not having to deal with whatever my parents are making me do right now.
Good, I'm glad you brought that one up. To some extent, you've got freedom from your parents. And it's going to feel good. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. Okay? You're going to be in college. How many of you are going to come home for the weekend? Like for holidays? How many of you are going to come home during the summer? Is there anybody here who knows that in your freshman year of college you're going to make at least 40 grand with the job you're going to take? No? Okay. If you're not that person that can make 40 grand, you get freedom for a couple of semesters, and then you're going to go back, and here's what your parents are going to do. You're under my roof. You can follow my rules. And you're going to say, I'm an adult. And you're going to cause grief, and you're going to spend your entire break kind of fighting with them and trying to get that freedom that you had in college. Just accept what it's like when you come home. And here's what's wild. If you can do that, if you can play the game when you come home, what happens? You get more freedom, you guys. You play the game with your parents, you get more freedom. Not everything you want, though. Now, that's really important because a lot of the issues that I'm going to end up talking about anxiety, depression, and suicide, okay? A lot of those issues get triggered when you come back from college for a little while, right? That back and forth can kind of play havoc sometimes. That's a good expectation to get in check, okay? You get to have your freedom sometimes, and sometimes you got to give it up. And tell you what?
Until I make 40 grand a year.
At least 40 grand.
At least.
And then you get to have a really tiny apartment, your parents, and you get to have a really cool, you know, those little boxes, crates, you know, those crate boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's your table at 40 grand. So, before I talk about anxiety and depression, I want you guys to take something really, really seriously. Think about who you surround yourself with, okay? There's going to be a lot of people who are fascinating to you. They're going to be the coolest people, and they're going to have that way about them that just draws you to them. And sometimes they're great people, and sometimes they're terrible people, okay? That's one thing to keep in mind when you surround yourself with people, is are these people who are attractive, not just the girls, there's guys that you gravitate towards, are they people who are going to keep me on my mission in life? Right? Or do I feel like this isn't right, but it feels good? If it's not right, if you have that notion, it's not right, but it feels good, do your best to get away, because it will pass. That feeling that it's good will pass. Okay? Don't surround yourself with people you need to save. I know that sounds wild, but we're talking about depression, suicide, and anxiety. When you're in college, you have too much going on. That person should not be what's called enabled. Let that person get help. Okay? And somebody here is going to experience that. Anybody just a really nice guy? Come on, you can admit it. Okay, somebody point out somebody who's just like that nice guy.
Wesley.
If you're that really nice guy that tries to take everybody in, keep that up. However, know what your boundaries are. Because something I know that happens in college especially is when you're that nice guy and you've got all this stress and you're the kind of guy that takes on everybody else's problems, that can take you down. We don't want that to take you down. We want you to be nice with what's called boundaries. Okay? Hey, I'll hang out with you, but I'm not going to spend my entire weekend with you hearing about all your problems and making me feel guilty that I'm not helping you fix them, right? You got to have boundaries, okay? Were they pointing to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
People, please.
Okay. Think about who you surround yourself with. Okay? And with that goes, surround yourself with people that you normally wouldn't have surrounded yourself with in high school. Okay? Who wants to be successful? Who wants to make money so that you don't have to sit on crates the rest of your life? Okay. I'm telling you right now, let go of whatever clique you're in and meet people. It will help with any depression that comes your way. It'll help with anxiety. It'll make it so that you have this network that you can rely on. We've got two kind of anxiety and depression categories. There's 1,000 types of diagnoses in those two areas, but the two types are those that were triggered by something, people, places, or things, trauma, and then when anxiety and depression just seems like it comes out of nowhere. Okay? So I'm going to talk about that in a second, but it's important because every single young man sitting here is going to experience depression and anxiety in college. Every one of you. Okay? Some of you it's going to be really bad, but it still might not be diagnosable. Okay? And so it's a hard message as a therapist. It's really taboo for me to say this, but most depression and anxiety that is diagnosed is actually not truly the disorder. It's appropriate depression and anxiety. And to figure that out, you want to ask yourself, number one, I feel down, I feel anxious, what decisions have I made recently? Okay? Then you want to ask yourself, is my reaction to these situations reasonable? Are my feelings and my reactions reasonable? And then what have I actually tried to overcome my anxious feeling or my depressed feeling? And then you want to ask yourself, have I taken care of every facet of my life? Now I'm going to introduce something called the 6 pillars. Okay, it's something that I use. I came up with it to kind of communicate with my clients. If I feel really depressed and I feel really anxious, I might have a diagnosis and I might need help. Before I go too far down that road, I want to ask myself some stuff, right? First, did I just tick off everybody that I know? Right? Have I been a total jerk at home, at school? Am I doing what I need to do responsibility-wise, right? Okay. Is there something else that I can't control that is triggering me and affecting me, like trauma or somebody who's bullying me that I didn't ask for, or maybe something terrible happening in my family? Okay. And then I need to ask myself, am I taking care of each area of my life? Okay. The 6 pillars are mental health. Okay. Even when you don't have a diagnosis, am I taking care of my mental health? Am I talking to friends? Am I seeking help when I need to seek help? Am I taking a look at my mental health? The next is relationships. How am I behaving in my relationships? Am I actually putting time into them? I was an athlete. So I remember in college it was really hard for me to put time, effort, and energy into any relationships other than water polo. Okay. Then we've got our career, education, or finances. For you guys, it's going to be education. Anybody ever get depressed because they weren't putting the right amount of effort into their education and they got scared in here? I think you guys are actually like overachievers, aren't you? You can identify with that? Right? Am I putting the right time, effort, and energy into my career, education, and financial pillar? The next pillar is going to be one that's kind of cool. That's hobbies. You guys are probably really good at hobbies. Okay? Fitness, health, nutrition is another pillar. Okay, now who exercises here? Okay. Now I'm telling you, in college, it's going to be hard. If you're not playing a sport, it's going to be hard to keep up on your fitness. That is one thing that I would really, really implore you to do, especially when you're feeling really bad. Has anybody ever ran or gotten a good workout or snowboarded really hard and then afterwards you just feel tired but kind of like a high? It's one of the most important things to keep up, to keep your mental health going, okay? The other part of that is nutrition. Who eats well? Okay. If you eat well, I don't mean like you eat enough calories. I mean you eat the right stuff. We know that those processed carbs, those sugars, eating too much of that can actually enhance depression and anxiety. So really think about what you're eating, because in college, I lost my mind and ate whatever I wanted to do. I was playing water polo, and I didn't gain weight because I was practicing like 8 hours a day. But what I didn't realize is that plays a havoc on your system and your brain. Okay? And then the last is spirituality. Whatever that means to you, that's your putting time, effort, and energy into your connectedness to people, places, things, morality, values, and giving back to the community. And then your connection to your higher power. Okay? Whatever that means to you guys. Put time, effort, and energy into that, because in college you're not going to want to unless you join a club. Okay? Now, those 6 pillars are really important, because if you find yourself depressed, anxious, or even suicidal, you can address those 6 pillars on your own, right? Before you even ask for help. You can ask yourself, am I putting the right time, effort, and energy? Is there anything that I'm not controlling that I should control? The most common triggers for anxiety and depression. Anybody know what they are in college? Why, when college kids seek me out, what do you think the most common trigger is for their depression or their anxiety?
Homework, grades.
You would think it's grades and homework. It's not. It's relationship. Oh, were you going to say that?
Well, no, I was going to say that. I was just going to say time, man.
No, it's actually relationships. It is those romantic relationships. Okay? If you're somebody, is there anybody who's willing to admit it, that when you meet a girl or guy, I guess, but if you meet a girl, you get like sucked in. You love them. You've told like 3 or 4 different girls that you love them, and you ditch your friends. Okay, anybody like that? Yeah? Okay, I see a couple of heads. You see a couple of people smiling. If that's you, get a handle on that your first year of college. Because number 1, you're going to miss out on a lot. Number 2, I can guarantee that the statistics say that relationship is going to fail. And you're going to be depressed, but we don't want to make you dependent on romantic relationships. Never become dependent on romantic relationships in college, even if this is your life partner. You see, if it's a healthy relationship and they end up being your life partner, you don't need them. You guys are able to walk alongside each other. But the most common trigger for people finally calling me when they have a problem is the romantic relationship that just blew up. Okay? Is that a surprise to anybody? Okay. The next ones are bad grades and guilty feelings about decisions you've made regarding school. Okay? That guilt of making poor decisions leads to so much depression and anxiety and fear and kind of that stirring up of your insides on a constant basis. Okay? Many people, right? None of you guys are going to do this, but a lot of people experiment with drugs and drink alcohol heavily. None of you guys, because you guys are in this organization. But if you find yourself drinking and you have a propensity for depression or anxiety, let me tell you that you will be triggered by that. Okay? Even if you only experiment, drugs and alcohol, what do they do? What do they do to your happy, I'll call it the happy juice in your head?
Bring it up.
They bring it up. Do they bring it up to a normal level?
No.
No. Where do they bring it up?
Higher.
Like to the ceiling. What comes next? What happens? You're going to have a crash, and most people can recover from that crash unless you're stuck in depression and anxiety. It will make things worse. The next trigger is isolation. Do not isolate. Do not isolate. If you get kicked out of a friend group or you have a falling out with people that you thought were your homies and everything, don't isolate. Find somebody, anybody to connect with. Somehow, some way, even if you've got to join a club that you didn't want to join. Okay? That isolation is the greatest indicator for whether or not somebody can overcome their depression and anxiety. And the last common trigger is, even though you guys want to get away from your parents, is your disconnectedness from your family. Those who stay connected to their really annoying parents several times a week actually have better experiences in college. Your generation is dealing with more anxiety triggers than ever before. There's more burdens, there's more knowledge. Part of that is you guys have more knowledge than I ever did at your age. You're exposed to more things than I ever did, and your brains, as smart as you guys are, struggle to catch up and actually process all of that. Okay? I'm almost 40 years old. I've had a lot of time to process the craziness in the world and all the burdens and everything. I'm still kind of trying to catch up. But you guys don't realize how much you have in your brain that you're trying to cope with. So a lot of the times, that perception that there's more anxiety and we don't know about it is actually just we need to get used to a different state of our young men and women. But here's the irony. People who actually have the anxiety disorder tend not to seek me out. If you find yourself having anxiety and it does not make sense, seek help. The anxiety disorder means that you have anxious feelings that don't make sense. They don't fit the situation that you're in. And if that's happening, some people actually have a panic attack and there's nothing. They're actually in the best state of their life they've ever been in. That's definitely an anxiety disorder. Some people have trauma from their past that in college it kind of triggers them. That might be an anxiety disorder. Okay? Ask for help if your anxiety does not make sense. Depression. How do you know you have depression? You're sad when you shouldn't be. You're sleeping too much. You cannot participate in things and find any joy. Okay? Nothing makes you happy. You probably have depression. The biggest, now here, this is going to be wild. For you guys your age, when you go in, one of the biggest indicators that you are depressed is actually you are angry about things that make no sense. You're overly angry. You've got a girlfriend, you're hanging out, and all of a sudden she eats pizza the wrong way, and you're flipping out. That might be depression. Am I emotionally reacting to things that don't make sense? Then you need to ask for help. Okay? Every one of you knows somebody who has either thought about suicide, has committed suicide, or tried to commit suicide. If you know anybody that even has those thoughts, never agree to keep that secret. If you are having those thoughts, don't think that they're going to go away. Ask for help. Okay? And don't ask for help from that person, that friend who is so arrogant that they think they can fix everything. Ask for help from somebody who's going to tell you, hey, we need to go tell somebody else too. the issues surrounding it, if you talk about it, what do you think happens? Even if it's embarrassing.
Feels better.
It feels better. You take the power away. The first step, something that you don't need a therapist for, is the moment you make stuff known, the moment you start talking about it, even if people respond in a just totally ridiculous way, the moment you're willing to say, hey, I'm having suicidal thoughts. You know what? That didn't make sense. I was totally anxious, and I've never been anxious because I was just going to my ceramics class. The moment you talk about some of the insanity that might be going on in your head, I'm not saying you guys are the same, but some of that chaos, the moment you talk about it, or maybe you're willing to talk about that thing that you didn't do that you're embarrassed about, talk about the fact that you've been lazy for the last month, the moment you talk about it, you suck the power out of it and you make it more likely that you overcome it. The stresses you feel about class are going to be profound. In fact, you're going to go and you are not going to see how it could be possible that you finish everything. They purposely give you these syllabi that don't make sense. There's no way with 4 of the classes that you can get through. Just don't give up, stay with it, and know that any heartache, stress about class, stress with work, any of that stuff, even if you fail to perform perfectly, it's all going to pass. Nothing's permanent. Right? That history of rock class I told you about, remember that? But I was devastated, I was embarrassed. It passed. It's a funny anecdote now. It devastated me. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I almost quit school because, hey, if you don't pass history of rock, what business do you have being in school? But it passed. Everything will pass. I want to talk about medication. Who knows that you can take medication for anxiety and depression? Okay. I don't have much time, so I'm going to give you just kind of a nitty-gritty. Do not seek medication first. Okay? Don't even seek it second. First, take a look at the decisions you're making, the 6 pillars. Ask for help. And ask yourself, have I tried to overcome this? What worked, what didn't work? Now, I'm not saying nobody should be on medication, but everybody in here probably knows that we've got way too many people on medication that don't need it. Right?
For the doctor.
Yeah. I'm all about medication when you need it. Here's how you know you need it. You're in a hole that you can't get out of. You can't start trying to get better. No medication on the face of the planet will make you better permanently. Whether it's ADHD medicine, or it is depression medicine, or it is anxiety medicine, it should not be a permanent fix, especially at your age. Now, the point of medication is you're in a hole, and picture yourself, you can't climb, you can't get to the ladder, you can't get a foothold out of that hole. And a responsible psychiatrist is going to say, hey, let's try the minimum, and you need to do the work. Okay? If you're not doing the work, but the medication is making you feel better, guess what? You're setting yourself up for failure down the line. Okay? You've got to take it just enough, so it's like if I'm really, really, really depressed and I can't even get myself to walk into class, that might be an indication that you need medication. But you just take enough so that you can walk into class and then you start doing the work so that you can get dressed, take a shower, you can comb your hair, and you get there. Then from then on out, it's your job to do the rest of the work. Does that make sense? So I tell my clients, medication is to get you out of the hole so you can start climbing the mountain. The medication should not be responsible for climbing the mountain for you.